I welcome you to another exciting Generation Wars against JoltsBolt. Today's matchup includes Kanto, ran by me, TheKillerNacho, and Johto, ran by JoltsBolt. These were the first two generations in Pokemon. The first two. Naturally, that's going to create quite the rivalry. Who will win this epic confrontation? Will it be the Kanto or the Johto? Only one of these generations can prove themselves to be superior. Which one will it be? Have to watch to find out. Hey guys, I have another Generation War match against Bunny, aka JoltsBolt, and just a reminder about the rules of our generation matches. You have to use the 3 starters and 3 of your favorites from that generation. Not necessarily, what makes the best team, but you have to use your favorites. So I do with Aerodactyl, she does with Typhlosion. I'm going to go for the Earthquake, pretty much because if she hits me, I have the Focus Sash, then can KO her Typhlosion. But she makes a good play, goes out into Skarmory, and then I'm going to set up a Stealth Rock, she's going to set up a Spikes, and I'm going to taunt so she can't set up any more Spikes. So I know she has to go Brave Bird, so I go out into Gyarados to get the Intimidate, and Brave Bird still does a pretty decent chunk after the Intimidate, which kind of annoyed me. So now I'm going to go out into Blastoise, pretty much because Blastoise has special moves, which is better against Skarmory, has more physical defense than Gyarados, and can Rapid Spin some Spikes away. So she goes for the Brave Bird. That's going to, not do much to Blastoise at all. And I'm going to go for the Surf because it's special, and special moves are definitely better on Skarmory than physical moves. But unfortunately, she predicts that nicely and goes out into Meganium, who of course resists Surf, and that's going to be a pain. But I decided to go into my own Grass type because my Grass type is better than her Grass type, basically, because mine is part Poison, which means I resist Grass. Poison's resistance to Grass, and I can hit her with a super effective move, Sludge Bomb, who is only good against pure Grass types. So yeah, I'm going to set up actually the Sleep Powder because I expect her to switch, and she does. She goes into the Entei, and my Sleep Powder does hit, puts the Entei to sleep, which is pretty helpful, because obviously I want that Entei to be more, I want it to be asleep more than I want it awake. So I'm just going to go for the Leech Seed. I was actually expecting a switch into Skarmory, but she goes back into Meganium, which is a good play. I expect her to Aromatherapy here, which is a pretty good play, but allows me to get a Seed or Sludge Bomb off on her, and that's pretty nice because that allows me to get some major damage on Meganium. She is going to Aromatherapy to wake up her Entei, and that's not too good for me. I went for the Sleep Powder, hoping to put something to sleep. She ends up staying into Meganium and setting up her Reflect, but now I kind of expect her to stay in Meganium again, and I decide just to Sludge Bomb for the kill. So Sludge Bomb takes down Meganium, and now she's obviously going to go back into Entei. Good news for me is that Stealth Rock damage is racking up on her Entei, and it's down to half health. Bad news for me, I have to switch. So I go out into Blastoise to take the predicted Fire-type move. She goes for the Fire Fang, which I resist, and is a physical-type move, which my Blastoise is physically defensive, which is pretty good for me. I'm just going to go for the Surf, and she makes another good play against Surf and goes out into Feraligatr, who of course resists it. So I know that this thing is probably Dragon Dancing, so I'm probably just going to Toxic it, because I want to limit the amount of damage this Feraligatr can do to my team, and Toxic is a good way to do that. And she does try to go for the Dragon Dance. Now, the only thing is that she actually has the leftovers on this Feraligatr as opposed to Life Orb, so it's going to be a little harder to Toxic Stall her than most Feraligatrs. So that's kind of annoying, but I'm just going to go for the Surf because extra damage is always helpful, and I just want to wither down this Feraligatr as much as I can with Blastoise, and she sets up another Dragon Dance, so now she has 2. And I figure she's going to attack me this turn, and I just really want to get rid of those spikes she had set up, so I'm just going to Rabbit Spin this turn. It'll do some damage to Feraligatr, and of course, stall her out another turn of Toxic. So, yeah, I go for the Rabbit Spin, doesn't do much at all, and yeah, she's being hurt continuously by that Toxic, which is really helpful. And I predict another Earthquake and go into Aerodactyl, but she makes a great play predicting Gyarados or Aerodactyl and goes for the Ice Punch, which is super effective on Aerodactyl, and that'll hit me down to my Sash. And then she gets like a pointless freeze. I say it's pointless just because I probably would have Death Foddered Aerodactyl anyway, but it's kind of like a full the lols kind of freeze. So yeah, I know that her Feraligatr is dead to one more Toxic, turn, so I decide just to keep Aerodactyl in and die. She goes for the Waterfall, takes down my Aerodactyl, and the Toxic is going to finish off for Alligator. So we don't know what either, because both Pokemon are down, we don't know who each other's going to go into. I go out into Blastoise, and she ends up going out into an Entei. And, yeah, I don't know what she's going to do. I decide to stay in and try to kill it, but she goes for the Return, and at this point I believe that this thing is Choice Banded, because Return killed me, and I don't see Leftovers or Life Orb or anything. So I go out into Gyarados for the Intimidate, knowing that I'll be able to live a Return and then Dragon Dance, which will be good, but she gets a crit, which really, really hurt, because Gyarados was a crucial part of my team, and that was just a really bad crit. So I go on a Nidoking and Stone Edge. The reason I go Stone Edge and not Sucker Punch here is because I really wanted to kill the Entei, and just in case she went out into Skarmory, because I do have the Sucker Punch. She goes out into Typhlosion now, who gets raped by Stealth Rocks, and I'm just going to Sucker Punch here, basically because I want to get as much damage on Typhlosion as possible, and that's actually pretty decent damage because it limits the amount of times the Typhlosion can switch in again due to Stealth Rocks, so that's pretty nice. She goes for the Overheat, takes down Nidoking, and that's exactly what I wanted her to do, because I go into Charizard, and after the special attack drop, I know she's going to switch, but I make a pretty dumb play and sub here. I really, really should have belly drummed, because that would have been better, but I didn't. And I'm just going to Fire Punch because I know she's going to Whirlwind, and that sucks. So I Fire Punch, and I get a burn, which really, really was needed against the Skarmory, because now Venusaur will be able to take a Brave Bird pretty nicely due to the burns having of attack. And I guess that makes up for her crit on Gyarados, so okay, I'm not too mad about the crit on Gyarados anymore, because the game gave me a burn. Alright, so I go for the Leech Seed to get some continuous damage off on the Skarmory and continuous healing for Venusaur, and yeah, the Brave Bird is also continuous damage on the Skarmory, which is nice, and yeah, she's going... there's the Leech Seed, so I get some health back, and now she gets hurt by her burn, and it puts her in red health, and I'm praying Energy Ball will be able to kill at this point, but it just doesn't. But she doesn't end up going for the Roost, and the reason she said she didn't go for the Roost is because if she roosted, I probably would have went into Charizard and set up, so it's probably a good play that she said not to roost there, but at the same time, I don't know how I would have killed that Skarmory had she roosted, so that's pretty cool. So she goes out into Typhlosion, and I just leave in Venusaur's Death Fodder. There's not much I can do at this point. She's going to go for the Overheat and take down Venusaur. So I go out into Charizard, and I'm just hoping that I can take an Overheat with only like 1/4 of my health, and then set up a Belly Drum, which would activate Salakberry. But she does just more. Just a little bit more than 1/4. And that sucks. So I'm just going to sub here, hoping for the sub and the Salakberry, and, guaranteeing that I do get my Salakberry. And after the Salakberry, I'm faster, and I just Earthquake it to death. I don't get the sub, so depending on what her last Pokemon is, depends if I win or lose. So I just have to hope it's something that I can kill, and it's a Houndoom, which is perfect for me, because I outspeed after the Salakberry, definitely, and I can Earthquake for the kill and for the win. So great game, JoltsBolt. Once again, extremely close. Rate, comment, subscribe me. Rate, comment, subscribe her. It was a fun, great match. Looking forward to Part 4 of Generation Wars. Alright, I think I asked a question of the day about every single legendary trio except for the legendary elves, or whatever you want to call them. Azelf, Uxie, and Mesprit. So today's question of the day is, what is your favorite legendary elf? I think that's what they are. Yeah. Obviously, Azelf and Uxie are very playable. Mesprit is a pretty good Pokemon too, especially against, some OU Pokemon, because it can learn Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, and can take physical hits pretty well. As for my favorite, I'd have to say it's probably Azelf, because I'm an offensive kind of player. I like Azelf. I like what it brings to the table. You can either use it as a pure sweeper, both physical and special now due to Platinum, or you can use it as a lead. It's like the #1 lead in OU, which is pretty cool for Azelf. So that's the one I'd say is my favorite. Uxie with a close second, because Uxie is amazing and can't see. So leave a comment about that, and see you guys next time. Bye.